Hi, welcome to Adventures in Bonsai. It's a nice day here and we're going to spruce up some of the bonsai. I want to show you what I do to each plant to check them out and make sure they're doing okay and get them ready for spring growth. I've been working here for a while, and as you can see there's some pieces and tools and other stuff here. Let's go take a look and see what I've done. I started out at this end of the shelf here and I'm working my way down plant by plant. I find that's the best way when I have so many plants to take care of. This way I don't lose track of what's going on. I started with this black olive tree here and trimmed it up a little and cleaned up the weeds as best as I could for now. I went to this clementine tree, or calamundi, and checked that out and put some new bonsai soil in here to give it a decent look. And then I worked on these Texas ebonies here and trimmed them down and cleaned out the weeds, and I put some new surface moss on this one. This little jade plant I just trimmed down a little bit and tried to get rid of the dead spots, and hopefully we'll have some new stuff coming out. Now I'm going to work on this papaya trio, and also this here, which I'm pretty sure is a lemon tree. So I'm going to take those back and show you what I do. Well, the first thing I noticed about this is that this sphagnum moss is pretty dry, and it rained here a couple days ago pretty heavily, and I'm just wondering what's going on, because this plant here also got rained on and it's still moist. I feel the coolness on my hand, and that tells me that there's water in there. So I'm going to see what's doing here. I have a feeling that it's because these plants here have so many leaves that they're transpiring the water from the growth medium and out into the atmosphere. Let's see what's going on here. Well, okay, here I don't want to damage these trunks because they're not really tree-like trunks so much. Oh boy, okay. Well, obviously this plant is liking where it's at and what it's doing. I'm going to cut off bottom edge, these roots, and I'm going to put some new sphagnum moss in here. Okay, here's a nice new bed of sphagnum moss. Just put the tree back on, press in firmly, and you're set to go. Pull out a couple of weeds that I see. Question is, what do I want to do for the surface of this? Do I want to put some moss on here? Maybe. It would look pretty good. So I'm going to wet this down right now, and I'll come back. I sprayed this down pretty well. You can see the water coming up as I press this down into the pot to really give it a good, firm setting. Now I'm going to take some moss that I have. I have these nice sheets of moss that I've had since last winter, and put them in here and see if we can make this setting look a little more natural. Now I'm just pressing this moss down, really the surface moss down firmly, and trying to see the water's coming up through it, because then I know it's got good contact. And I'm just looking for a couple empty spots here. Get rid of the acorn shell. Okay, this tree should be ready for the spring. I don't really want to trim any of the leaves. The leaves are looking good right now. They're growing nice. They're small compared to the normal size of a papaya tree leaf. And that one's done. My goal is to do 10 trees a day and slowly work my way through. This is a lemon tree that needs a little trimming, and we'll see what's going on inside and underneath. First thing I do is try and get rid of a lot of the weeds. Can't get them all, it seems. There's always little pieces coming out, and you know they're just going to grow into weeds soon. But if you keep an eye on them every day, a lot of times you can make these pretty much weed free, which is nice. This is artillery fern. which is a very common weed down here in Florida. It's everywhere. They produce little flowers that you can hardly see and a bunch of little seeds. So by the time you pick them, the seeds have started to sprout that they dispersed previously. Okay, let's see what's going on underneath here. Let's see, 2 little holes here. I hate these little holes. I want to get my chopsticks. When I'm working with pots with little holes, I like to use my chopsticks out. You'll see it already popped out on the other side. So you can see what's going on here. And this one here is also overgrown, a little bit root bound. I'm going to cut the bottom of this one off. This is my Ginsu knife. A good serrated knife will do this job pretty easily. Get rid of that. Now I'm going to go and put some new sphagnum moss in here. Okay, here's a nice new bed of sphagnum moss in here. Just put the plant on top. Press down firmly. If your plant's wobbling side to side, there's an easy way to fix that too. Often the sphagnum moss thing seems to shrink up a little bit. So if you just look for the hollow spots and the loose areas, and you put some new moss in there, kind of as a bolster for it, it'll make the plant sit up better and be a little more secure. I feel that when I press down that it feels pretty tight now compared to what it was. Now the question is, what to do with the bottom here. Here's some strangly pieces that come with these sphagnum moss. You can cut them off and clean them up. I'm going to put a little bit of moss on here. It has some old moss growing on it, some of these spots over here. But if you use a little new moss, and if you put it in certain areas, it'll spread. So you don't necessarily have to moss the whole plant. Of course you can if you want to and if you have the moss. But otherwise, a couple little pieces helps make it look a lot better. Now let's see about what to do about the pruning. Some leaves here that are a little deformed, they've withered away a little bit. And I think that was due to the fact that the roots were root bound. I have a feeling that now that it's got new sphagnum moss to grow into, it's going to do just fine. And these areas here should start to pop out with some nice new leaves. But I'm going to check the shape and see how I want this plant to look later on in its life. The first thing I noticed was this branch here crossing over, so I'm just going to get rid of that. I don't like branches that cross over too much. I'm also looking for some stumps here that can go. A piece like this is time to say goodbye. I want to cut off this withering leaf here and get rid of some of these other ones here that just aren't looking so good or so healthy. And some stumps. I have all these little stumps here. I don't know if you can see those or not. I'll try and make them so you can. Let's see, where were we looking at? Right over here. Okay. So there's just a bunch of little stumps here that are going nowhere. I don't like them. So I'm getting rid of them. Give the branch a more smooth appearance. This is a yellowing leaf, so it's going to go anyway. I may as well cut it now and stimulate some more new growth over here. Now I've got some more yellow leaves here like these. I'm going to cut those off too. I'm going to shorten this whole branch like that. I don't know if I like this or not. This piece hanging down like that. It's kind of wrong to me, so I'm just going to get rid of it. Okay. More yellow leaves, big ones too. Let's get rid of them. Here's a deformed leaf. I'm going to cut that. Another one over here. Okay, so that's about it. We got the new surface moss on. Tree's got a little bit of a different shape, and it's ready to keep growing. I'm going to leave some of these leaves on with the green on them because that will help with photosynthesis and help the tree produce the materials that it needs to grow new leaves. Okay, that's number 9. Okay, this is tree number 10 for today. The sphagnum moss feels pretty dry. The tree itself has a lot of new growth coming out, and it seems to be doing well. I want to see what's going on under here with the roots. First, I'm just going to pick out some of this artillery fern, these weeds, and get rid of them. I feel hollow spaces in here, so we'll see what has to be done. The thing is, it might be easier actually to pull out a lot of these weeds once I pull it out of the pot because they're down in the sides. Okay, let's see what's doing under there. Lifts out nice and easy. Ants. I don't know if you can see them or not. A million of these tiny little ants. The little ones I don't mind so much because they can't really bite you. Their jaws just aren't big enough. But I'm going to spray this down with water and clean them out. Okay, cleaned out the pot. Sprayed the plant. I'm sure there's some ants, they tend to run inside and then come out as it dries a little bit, but I'm not real worried about it. The roots are in pretty good shape here. That's why I think there's so much growth going on here. So I'm just going to put this back in. See if I can find. But there are some empty spots, like over here, which needs some sphagnum moss. So I'm going to fill that up. Okay, I'm just going to take some moss and try and put it in here and look out for these roots that'll look nice on the surface when they thicken up like this one did. This one also will do that over time. This will help the plant be more secure in the pot, so when the wind blows or the squirrels land on it or the birds land on it, it may not fall out so easily. Another little spot over here. Question becomes what to do with the surface of this. Well, I think I'm going, because I have some moss growing here already, and that'll probably spread, I'm going to add a little bit of moss up here and maybe over here and give it a nice appearance. But first I have to wet this down because it's still a little dry, so I'm just going to water the whole plant now. Okay, it's been wet down. I have some pieces of moss, surface moss, that will fit in here pretty nicely and help give it a better appearance. Put some stuff here along the edges, cover up the new sphagnum moss. Keeping those surface roots there visible, because I like the way they look. And here's a little spot that can use something. Okay, there's a little bit of trimming that needs to be done here. I don't particularly like this branch cutting back towards the interior. Question is, how much do I want to cut off? I'm not going to cut off all of it. I'm going to cut off part of it. And we'll see if something grows back out this way. This one here is a nice big old branch, but it's dead. So I'm going to try and get this one with one hand, which I don't think is going to work. Hold on a minute. Okay, like I told you before, if you can't get it all in one bite, try a couple smaller bites. And you can work from both sides too. Okay, and off it goes. Now I've got another dead one over here I'm going to get rid of. And I got one up here. I don't like the direction that it's growing in, so Goodbye to that one. And here's another one. Another dead one. Just going to shorten this one here up. I have a nice branch over here, but I'm going to cut it off here. I've also got some little flowers growing on this. As you can see over here, the Fukientees get these nice little white flowers. Here's another branch just fell off by itself. Here's another dead one. It's a nice shape on this branch, but it's dead, so time to get rid of it. Okay, so that's enough for the Fukiente for now. We'll let this thing grow in and then work on it later when it's looking a little better. So that's plant number 10 for today. I just wanted to show you kind of what I do when spring is coming, how I start to get these plants ready. Here's another little branch that's... Fukientees grow these really long branches, and it's nice to keep them short because then they'll branch out and give you a much fuller and denser looking tree. Okay, have fun with your bonsai.